This briefing focuses on China. The goal of this presentation is to inform you on various aspects of that country in preparation for your upcoming investment decision. There are many aspects of a country that may be relevant to potential investment decisions, and the various languages of a country is the first of such issues. Similarities and/or differences in languages can have a substantial impact on a firm's ability to communicate with local customers, suppliers, and even employees. While Australia and China have distinctly different dominant languages, it's also true that the use of the English language in China is widespread and growing rapidly. The Economist reported in 2006 that up to 1/5 of the population is learning English, and Gordon Brown, the former British Prime Minister, estimated that the total English-speaking population in China will outnumber the native speakers in the rest of the world in 2 decades. It's also true that Chinese is the second most common language spoken at home in Australia, with more than 450,000 people reporting it as their mother tongue. A second issue which can influence a firm's ability to conduct business in a foreign country is the dominant religion. Religion has a potentially powerful impact on people's value systems and can influence how they behave and interact with one another. While Australia and China differ in terms of their dominant religions, Christianity and Buddhism respectively, Australians may not realize that Christianity has gone through several cycles of popularity in China since first being introduced in 635 AD, and is once again on the increase. Independent estimates of the number of practicing Christians in China range from 40 million to 54 million people. Similarly, there is a rising popularity of Buddhism in Australia. A third factor which may influence a company's ability to conduct business in a foreign country is the level of industrial development. This not only influences the cost of labor in a country and the consumption patterns, but it also arguably shapes the attitudes, values, and behaviors of the population in general. Despite the obvious differences between Australia and China in terms of their economic and industrial development, there are many similarities as well, and the differences are diminishing rapidly. In the major coastal cities of China, the overall standard of living, the consumption of consumer goods, and the predominance of the service economy are rapidly approaching Australian standards. Indeed, in some areas of China, housing prices are already beginning to rival Australia. A fourth important issue is the similarities and/or differences in the educational systems of countries. China has recently implemented major reforms in education intended to produce more able people and in turn develop an education system more like Australia, where education is available to all people. The country is already producing more MBAs and PhDs than any other country in the world, and the education system is going through a massive modernization to make more similar to Western systems. A fifth critical issue with respect to doing business in another country is similarities and/or differences in the legal and political systems. While China and Australia have different political and legal systems, there are similarities that merit notice. Both countries are members of the World Trade Organization and as such are signatories to various international treaties covering trade and intellectual property protection. In recent years, the Chinese political system has become more open and democratic, and the country started legal reforms to shift their system to one more similar to Australia. A sixth but potentially more subtle issue is similarities and/or differences in actual business practices. This can involve simple but potentially embarrassing issues, such as how to properly greet people and attitudes towards time. While Chinese culture is obviously different from Australia's, it's important to be just as aware of the similarities as of the differences. For example, being extremely late for an appointment is considered an insult in both cultures. Dress is also similar, and jeans are now an accepted casual wear for both men and women. Business meetings over food are also common in both countries. During a meal, expressing enthusiasm about the food you're eating is a welcome and usually expected topic of conversation. Business meetings also often include toasts. Small talk is considered especially important at the beginning of a meeting in both cultures. Lastly, there are some mistaken common beliefs about China. For example, contrary to popular belief, gift-giving is forbidden by Chinese policy and is considered bribery, an illegal act in that country. Consequently, your gifts may be declined. Also, most Chinese people expect to be greeted with a handshake, not a bow. The seventh and final issue is the broader set of cultural values which are commonly shared by a large portion of a country's population. Countries can vary in terms of the emphasis placed on individuality versus conformity, the attitudes towards uncertainty and ambiguity, the attitudes towards authority and social inequities, and not least, attitudes towards how gender roles are allocated in society. The Chinese are different in terms of many of these cultural values. However, surprisingly, this does not include the masculinity or relationships between genders dimension. Women in China enjoy opportunities and status similar to women in Australia. While both are moderately masculine countries, do not be surprised to see a woman occasionally in a place of authority. This concludes our brief presentation on China.